build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Friday morning to you, Western Oklahoma. It is the Skinny on Sports on 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS, the Sports Animal. Jared Atha filling in for Aaron today. We got Jimmy Clark over there in the co-pilot seat filling in for me. Is that how it works? I fill in for Aaron.
I'm filling in for Jared Atha.
You fill in for me, and everybody's happy, and the world goes round and round. Happy Friday to you. It is, of course, Skinny on Sports, like I just said. I'm excited because this weekend promises to be very sports-centric. There's a lot of stuff happening this weekend, namely basketball, Final Fours, both men and women. We kind of touched on that yesterday, me and Aaron did, and that actually starts tonight. We'll kind of look at that coming up. Speaking of women's sports, I'm glad you pointed this out to me right before we went on the air, so I didn't do a lot of prep on this, but it is a big thing. OU Texas softball. That series starts tonight in Oklahoma City. Are they playing all three games in Oklahoma City or just tonight?
Yeah, tonight, and the rest of them will be in Norman tomorrow.
And, you know, on paper, like, okay, this is OU's to win because they're so good and so dominant. Texas, of course, made it all the way to the finals against OU last year where OU swept them in 2 games, so there's that revenge factor. And then there was the big mouth on the Texas coach who kind of stuck his foot in that big mouth and stuck a stick in a beehive with some words that he said. We'll touch on that topic a little bit later in the show. Of course, the Thunder are at it tonight, taking on the Pacers. They have 5 games left to hopefully secure or maybe even rise up in the postseason standings. They're currently 10th. You have to be 10th or higher. They're in the play-in scenario. But they're 1 game ahead of the Mavs, who are in the 11th spot. So if you're kind of score watching, you're watching obviously what the Thunder do, what the Mavs do. We'll just kind of preview ahead and look ahead at the Thunder, kind of look, get Jimmy's thoughts on that as well. And like I said, Final Four, women's Final Four starts tonight. Big game tonight. There were some big numbers, some big ratings numbers in a women's game last weekend. And I said this yesterday, and I stand by it. I think those numbers might get bigger with one particular game tonight. And, of course, the men's Final Four, that starts tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. And who knows what else we'll talk about. You want to be a part of the show? You have any topics you want to talk about? Text it in, 580-225-9698. It's easy to be a part of the show that way. We love all the input from our listeners. If you can't catch the show live, of course, you can catch it in podcast form. Just subscribe to the Skinny on Sports on iTunes podcast. And that's been updating whenever it wants to. But it does update, I promise you. It's technology. I've gone round and round with Apple and our servers and all this stuff. But it is updating again, sporadically. But you can, if you've missed something that we've said or maybe we said something we shouldn't have said and you want to go back and listen to it, you can do it that way. And you can just go to our website, too. It's immediate right there, kadsam.com, right there on the front page. It updates daily. You can just click on that and listen. And, of course, follow us on Facebook. We like to put a whole bunch of stuff on there as well. Jimmy, welcome to the last day of March. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing really good. I'm getting some text messages from people.
Like personal text messages?
Yeah, like Jenna Red. You know her?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she wanted to know what I knew about sports.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you know anything about sports or if you know everything about sports. I just like to have a co-host when I have to fill in for Aaron. Just, it's kind of like, and I'm not calling you a wall or insignificant, but it's like if you're, remember when you're a kid and you had nobody to play with, all you had was a ball, and you just threw it against the wall?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That's what I like here. I can just throw it at you and see what I get back.
Well, we had enough money when I was a kid. I actually had a pitchback.
Oh, okay. I'll get like a racquetball or a tennis ball. Just throw it against the wall, if you're bored or whatever, a basketball. Anywho.
Yeah, it works.
Now, see, this is what we do sometimes on this show is we'll go off the beaten path a little bit, and it actually gets a lot of response. Funny, we were talking kind of that topic of going off the beaten path on a show, but we get the most response on food in here.
Animals or food?
Well, sure. Yeah, well, one of our sponsors, Tucker Family Beef. And then when we start talking about what we cooked and how we cooked their beef and all this stuff, it really lights up the text line. We get a lot of input on that. And then just, when we talk about, I don't know, favorite movies or sports movies or something like that, it's fun to kind of go off the beaten path in that sense. And speaking of sponsors, I almost forgot. Today's sponsor is Garrison Financial. It is a Garrison Financial Friday. Big thank you to Scott Garrison. Full financial planning. Shop the open market to bring the best value on life insurance and investments. Go see him at 124 North Main Street right here in Elk City. You can email him, scott@soonerwealth.com. He does a lot for you financially. He's a financial planner that can help you in the right way. We'll talk about them throughout the show. So, Jimmy.
Yes.
The one topic I didn't write down in my prep work because we're going to get through this weekend and then we're going to wake up Monday and you know what it is? And no, it's not National Championship Monday. That is a thing. They're going to be playing a basketball game, but
it's the last Monday before Easter.
Well, yeah, it is Masters Week.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you follow that much?
Masters, yes.
Yeah?
I mean, how can you not?
Oh, you get it. I get enveloped with it, right? Just boom, Masters. Especially, we don't get a lot of work done on Thursday when they're teeing off. Pretty much right now, next Thursday, we'll have like an iPad in here, and me and Aaron are just kind of watching it while we're trying to do a show.
Yeah.
And same thing on Friday. And then, of course, we're really anxious by the end of the day Friday. Who's going to make the cut? Will Tiger make the cut? Or the big names? Who's the big names not making the cut? And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday is just a blast. I guess what I'm leading into is, Monday we'll be out at the golf course at Sayre National. I'm sure they're going to have TVs on for the Masters and doing a bunch of stuff out there.
Yep, they are. And, they got the Masters going. They got alumni tournament going.
Is that this weekend?
No, it's next weekend.
I'm sorry, the next weekend. My apologies.
Yeah,
same weekend as the Masters.
Same weekend as the Masters, so it's going to be exciting. And, my take on the Masters this year, I think it's going to be just watched a little bit more than normal. Well, first of all, you and I both know it's one of the most gorgeous golf courses in the world.
Yes.
And the prestige behind it. And not anybody can play it. Not anybody can be a member there. And even the people attending have to act right. They're not going to be no Michelob Ultra soda out there during the hole-in-one.
Can't have your phones out. I think, do they even let you walk in there with the phone?
I don't. You don't see people taking pictures like they do at the other.
I've seen them be real strict, and even it's something to look into. I'm not sure if they say, "Oh, leave your phone in the car," or "Keep your phone in your pocket." They don't want your phones out. And I've always wondered about watch. Everybody has a smartwatch nowadays.
Yeah, and then they got the Masters controls TV on this. There's no commercials and blah blah blah. But this is going to be the first Masters since the creation of the LIV.
Okay, so you're wondering if.
No, there's no wonder, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the LIV guys do with the regular PGA, and there shouldn't be anything like that going on, but media's blowing it up like that.
Well, they're gonna look into those angles.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be interesting to see what the pairings look like.
It's news. I mean, it's
sure.
news. And so it's this is gonna be a great Masters.
I'm looking forward to it. And back to your point about Augusta and the prestige of it, I would watch the Masters. If even at I can't think of when the sport has not been popular. Pretty much the rise of Tiger, and it's elevated the popularity of the sport ever since his rise and beyond. Right? It's always, and then it's given way to other people like Koepka and everybody behind that's come since Tiger. Right? The popularity of the sport has always been high. I credit Tiger with a lot of that, but even if the those big names weren't a part of this, or the popularity of the player was down, I'm still watching because of Augusta. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Because of everything, just to see it. They'd have beautiful shots of Augusta, the big pines and Amen Corner. All of it is
What are those?
it's awesome.
What is those flowers they get? The magnolias.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, magnolias, and it's just beautiful, dude.
I've looked into. I think you're right. Is magnolias? I've looked into putting in a magnolia bush at my house.
And
We're too far north. I've read about this. I think we're too far north.
we're north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, I think you have to in the south, obviously in Georgia and everything. But anyways, so that's coming up next weekend. And, of course, I invite everybody to tune on in. We'll have a lot of discussion on that, Aaron and I, throughout the week. Jimmy, you're more than welcome to jump in every once in a while. Why don't you come out Monday? What are you doing Monday? You should just come on out, pop in.
I should, because I think, is Jay going to be there Monday?
I think that's right.
Yeah,
Jay Manning's going to be in. We're going to talk more about these upcoming tournaments happening over at Sayre National. We always have Jim on with us on Monday morning, so it might be a packed show. We're hoping to be nice enough sometime between now and through the end of next month, April, where we can set up outside and do our show outside.
Well, it looks like Monday's going to be some 88 for a high.
Yeah, but between like 9 o'clock, it's still about 55. So it's our tolerant level, and then if it's windy or not. I can tolerate it if it's not windy.
Yeah.
If it's not windy, I can sit out there.
Speaking of wind, it's going to hit here in about right after the show.
That's probably worth mentioning too. That's in all seriousness, it's going to be crazy out there. We got red flag warning, which was nuts because I stepped outside early this morning, and it was real. The moisture on the ground on my sidewalk to my house and everything there was moisture.
Yep.
I thought, well, that's a good thing. I thought, but the way this wind blows, I mean, it's like a hot blow dryer. I mean, it'll just blow it dry. Humidity is going to be incredibly low. We have a wind advisory until 8 p.m. That's already gone into effect, I believe, and a red flag warning until 10 p.m.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Boy, get these mics in here.
I know they are sensitive. When it gets, here's the thing, and we got areas of blowing dust and all this stuff. Did you see the video while we're talking about weather? The video up in Hooker.
The track meet?
Yes.
Golly.
I think it was Lacey Swope who put it out there.
Yeah.
And it just had a regular track meet at a football field with a track around it, and that wind hit, and it looked like the Dust Bowl. And
those people were hanging in there tough.
Man. Well, I mean, they knew what they live up there, right? Like,
it's
this
every
is
day.
every day for them, right? Or not every day, but that's just part of their life.
I wonder if any records were set if they had the wind at their back.
In their backs, I know. And speaking of wind, how windy it's going to be today. They're having a high school slow pitch softball tournament over in Weatherford. I actually had an updated bracket through a portion of the day yesterday. And some local teams are doing pretty good. I know Canute has won all their games. They're going to take on a really good Shattuck team this afternoon. Hammond's taking on the second-ranked Bingeroni Lady Bobcats today. Noliti and Visai will play today. Point is, I'll probably talk to somebody today from Canute after the games. I'm going to ask them this. Does the wind affect, and if you know this, text it in, 580-225-9698. I think it should. Does the wind affect the pitch? You see what I'm saying? On a slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
I could see where a fast pitch can break the wind, and it's not really,
But I bet it still affects it a little bit.
Yeah, but a slow pitch, I mean, a heavy gust can move that. So it might make for some interesting games today. Playing slow pitch softball in 50-mile-per-hour wind gust conditions. But again, it's going to be windy, it's going to be dry, it's going to be low humidity, it's going to be bad. Just please be careful. It makes me nervous because it's a Friday.
Yeah.
End of the week. Hey, honey, let's throw some steaks on the grill. I would probably advise against that. Unless you're in some cover.
Got protection. No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
definitely don't charcoal.
The grass is dry.
Don't charcoal. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be the weather you'd want to do it. But I promise you that weather is coming.
You guys.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. From the text line, says it's a very big deal. hard on pitchers and umpires.
It is.
Thanks for Scott on the text line helping me out. I've always wondered that. I haven't attended enough slow pitch baseball games.
There's a tournament going on at Hobart, too, the middle school.
Yeah.
Or JVs, whichever.
And if you've seen Hobart's facilities, you drive by it every time if you're driving down 183. It's just, I don't want to say, I hate this term middle of nowhere because we don't live in the middle of nowhere. We live somewhere. But there's no trees around it. They're complex. Beautiful complex over there in Hobart. It's right there on the east side of the highway.
Yep.
I think right next to the airport, you know.
It is.
Yeah, there's no trees, nothing. I mean, wide open. That's going to be crazy.
And
straight winds.
Mountains on both sides, so you know what goes between mountains.
You got your wind tunnel right there.
there is. Yeah, I was talking to Gary Ripito this morning on the way here to the cell barn, and he said he was going to go down there and watch Rain play and his granddaughter. Mm-hmm. So I knew they had something going on down there today. All day deal. And one of you guys' sponsors, Tucker Family Beef.
Yes.
I did something out of the norm the other day for me.
What'd you do?
I instead of getting a couple of my steaks out, I got a couple of his out.
I don't think you can go wrong either way.
I know. Those ribeyes. That's all I can say.
They're good. They are good. I need to get me another order from him. They are good stuff. Let's talk sports. Let's talk about, where do you want to begin? You know, speaking of high school, we can stay right there. Big game today. We had, of course, Coach Jay McClure, Elk City Big Elk baseball coach, in with us yesterday. Gave us a great interview about midway through the season, what he's seen so far, what he expects moving forward. And I can tell you what I expect moving forward are some tough games. And I love the scheduling. Of course, this is a tough district that the Big Elks play in. And they got a tough game today. They're on the road at defending state champ Blanchard. So we're about to see how good this team really is. Win or lose, I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I'm anxious to see how that one turns out. And then tomorrow they travel to Chickasha. Chickasha is having a really, really good year. Fighting Chicks, I think only one loss, 16-1, and that one loss came to Tuttle, a team that Oak City has lost to early in the year too. And then on Monday, they're on the road at Kingfisher for district play. So really about getting to the meat of this schedule for the Big Elks. Should be a fun one tonight on the road at Blanchard. Just something to keep your eye on. Good luck to Coach McClure and his Big Elks. You know what I saw before I came here? I went down the road to the convenience store right there by the high school. Don't think they're a sponsor, so I'm not going to say anything, but you know what I'm talking about over there. Right. And somebody, I think the city or the school, I don't know whoever it was, I give them credit. This is awesome. Instead of it said like pedestrian crossing or children crossing, you know, it says elk crossing. It's like a street sign. And it's legit. It's not like it's a legit, and it has an elk on there. You know, like you see deer crossing signs, you know. This one says elk crossing over there by the high school and the elementary school over there. That was pretty clever. I thought that was cool. Right there on
Elk
Pioneer.
City has one of the very few mascots and names of their teams and stuff that actually rhymes with the cities.
I love it. It's cool. It's cool. They embrace it, and I like doing stuff like that. I tell you what, let's sneak in a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about, how about Final Four? But which Final Four are we going to talk about?
Let's go with the ones that start tonight.
The women's.
Yes.
Big game tonight. South Carolina and Iowa.
And that Virginia Tech and
LSU.
LSU's not no throwaway one. So it's interesting.
So we'll talk about that coming up. We'll talk about the men's Final Four too. OU Texas softball. There's a lot to talk about. Don't go anywhere. Skinny on Sports on the Animal.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings savings, or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports. Jared filling in for Aaron. Sitting in for Aaron. Aaron, by the way, people probably wonder, where's Aaron at? He is in Tulsa. Went to Tulsa yesterday for last night. The OAB convention and awards banquet was held last night. That's, for those who don't know, OAB, Oklahoma Association of Broadcasters, once a year. They take the best. It's all, a voting thing, voted on by actually outside sources of the state, anonymous sources from like Kansas, Texas, I think, Missouri maybe. And they vote on the best of the best in different categories. Aaron won, again, if you don't know, fourth time he's won this, the Sportscast of the year. That sports report that you hear every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock right here in our other stations, that sports report won the best of the year. It's non-metro, meaning the broadcast that happens outside of the Oklahoma City and Tulsa area. And that's saying something because that does not exclude areas like Lawton, Enid,
Woodward.
I don't know if Muskogee is considered Tulsa area, McAllister. I mean, there's some other bigger towns than us.
Ardmore, Ada.
Sure, and Aaron's won this 4 times, so that's a big deal. So he was accepting that award last night.
He has a great sports voice.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. And does a great sports report on that. How that works is they tell you a day. We call it OAB Day. It's sometime in November. Same thing happens with my news. And on that day is the day we have to submit one of our reports. I do multiple news reports. Anyway, we submit one of them, but it has to be from that day. Makes sense? You can't just pick a report that you thought was the best one from the entire year, because sometimes there are some better ones than others, because sometimes it's, in my case, there's slow news day and there's a lot of stuff could happen. So that's, I think, really telling, is that you find something, that particular day, he made it interesting. And they look at, what it is, the presentation, all that stuff. It's not just about, well, that was a good report because so-and-so won a championship and he reported on it. It was how it sounded and all the presentation and everything. So kudos to Skinny in winning that. So that's where he's at. And from the looks of it last night, he had a good time. I saw some pictures.
That's what I seen. I was just like,
I wasn't jealous at all in my garage, sitting there watching hockey.
I was, though. I was over there at the golf course putting up plywood on our new outdoor banner sign.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't fun in the wind.
No, that's not fun.
It's not fun.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
I'll get her finished this weekend. But anyway, there's just a lot going on in sports. Man, I can't wait for those ladies' games tonight.
There are. We're going to talk about that coming up. Again, big thank you to Scott Garrison. It is a Garrison Financial Friday. He is a money manager. Come manage your investments or charge hourly to build a plan for you to manage. Most of all, he likes to work with the client's accountants to streamline tax ramifications and returns. 124 North Main Street, that's right downtown, right there in the corner of Main and 3rd. Scott@soonerwealth.com. You can email him for more information.
There's a problem with one of the games, but luckily over there at the Sarah National, they have more than one TV. I just now noticed the LSU Virginia Tech game same time as the Texas OU softball game.
Okay, well, let's start with the Texas OU Texas. Why did I put it in that order? OU Texas, the Red River Rivalry softball series starting tonight. Of course, it's a rehash of last year's championship series.
Yep.
Where OU got the better of Texas to win the title. It's back at the scene of the crime, basically, if you're Texas anyways, they think it's a crime, where at All Hall of Fame Stadium tonight anyways. Mike White, he's the head coach of the Texas Lady Longhorns, they had a camera crew there kind of going through a montage, talking to players, of course him, hey, what about this series, da-da-da. He kind of said something where he kind of insinuated something that was it got people's attention. Let's see if I got it right here.
Find ways to keep reloading, and I'm not quite sure if all of it is, whatever, I won't say anymore.
But I think
find ways to keep reloading, I'm not sure, but he just cut himself off like, I'm not going to say anymore.
he messed up.
He said they keep finding ways to reload, and I'm not sure all of it is, I won't say anything more.
In other words,
Is he accusing Patty Gasso of cheating in recruiting? Whether it be recruiting from the high school level or the portal, tampering with players before they're allowed to be. I don't know. What do you make of that? Is it a little bitter? Is it a little bitter?
Yeah, there's a little bitterness.
A little jealousy there.
You remember what happened there at the end of the last game last year during the championship? When
I remember, I remember what happened at the end of that game last year, the second game.
Mike White had to hold one of his assistants back.
Oh, that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remember OU holding up the national championship trophy. That's what I remember.
That's the best part of it. That's why he probably cut himself off, because he's talking about the GOAT of softball.
The GOAT, yes.
He's talking,
Yeah.
He doesn't need to. He put his foot in his mouth.
Maybe he thought he was going into this, and he just has these clearly he's thought about this. He let it come out. Freudian slip or whatever. It's on his mind. He thinks OU is not doing something on the up and up when it comes to recruiting. All this high talent to the University of Oklahoma. I mean, it's probably easy to recruit when you're winning at a high level year in and year out for Patty Gasso. But maybe where was I going with that? I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
you're right.
It's a rivalry thing.
Yes.
He wants to beat the rivals. I get all that. But he shouldn't. And then, I know where I was going to get with that. Yeah, Scott Jones kind of said it right on the text line. Don't poke the goat.
Exactly.
So he's in the middle of that sentence, middle of that statement, talking about, maybe they are cheating. Wait, I better stop talking. It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I just gave them bulletin board material. That quote, I guarantee you, has been playing on a loop inside the the Sooner locker room. The Sooner locker room.
Right.
If I'm Gasso, I'm playing that quote on a loop when they're taking warm up before practice.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to take the OU softball team from a 30-06 rifle to a 308 Winchester.
They don't have I'm sure they have it somewhere. It's not on ESPN where who's the favorite, but I'm sure OU's a heavy favorite. But that was just pretty dumb on his part.
That was
and
dumb.
Somebody pointed out too, this is a great tweet. This is the same guy, Mike White. He came from Oregon. That's where Texas hired him from. He kind of pulled a Lincoln Riley before Lincoln Riley pulled a Lincoln Riley. Texas hired Mike White, and he brought a bunch of Oregon players with them.
Right.
Sound familiar?
Yep.
So it's kind of kettle calling the pot black, or is it the other way around? Whatever. Wait a minute, buddy. You took a job, and you said, hey, players, come with me.
Right.
Transfer over here. I mean, how's that legal? I mean, there's ethics to all this and whatever. But to suggest that the GOAT, Patty Gasso, is cheating in recruiting, I think is pretty dumb when for the better part since 2000 to now, for the over 20 years, she's been winning at a high level. I don't think it takes cheating to do that. She finds good players. She's finding them at the high school level.
Right.
Yes, some have come in through the portal. But the big ones, the ones that have turned into Sooner legends, they came from high school. And I don't think there was any tampering or cheating involved. I think it's a pretty wild accusation. And Good luck to you, Mike White, because I see a 3-game sweep of Texas Longhorns this weekend.
I'm pretty sure I'm a big OSU softball fan, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a sweep. And I've ate those words once or twice before, but man, the way they're playing right now, they're the caliber of ball they're playing, the pitching. I mean, look at Nicole May, how far she's come since the 2 championships ago.
What Gasso's doing with her pitching, especially pre-conference play. I didn't watch a lot of the Iowa State series last weekend, but there's really no true ace. It doesn't feel like it. You mentioned Nicole May. Jordy Ball is a real good one. You know, she was kind of injured there at the end of the season last year, but they were still able to navigate she pitched some there in that championship series. She came in. But I like how she's been kind of rotating them in, like almost like a rotation in baseball, not leaning on one pitcher the whole time. And even throughout games, like, okay, you're pitching X amount of innings. Now you'll pitch an X amount of innings. But other teams are doing that to OU to keep OU on their toes when they're batting. Because when they go around the lineup 2 or 3 times seeing the same pitcher, that's when OU really finds their stride, right? When they've seen it the first time, and I've always been a big believer of this in softball especially, and baseball, when you get through the lineup once, and that's that second time you get up to see that same pitcher, you're like, okay, I know what I'm looking for. And I've seen teams lately against OU rotate those pitchers out to keep them on their toes. It's like, okay, we got to readjust to this pitcher. Now I got to readjust to this pitcher. It's a strain on the pitching, especially the bullpen, but I don't think it's been successful, but I've seen it at times where it has slowed OU's offense down. But once OU's offense gets going, it's like a floodgate. It just doesn't stop.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to get those numbers up, but back to the pitching part, Nicole May's ERA I think is like 0.25 or 0.50,
yeah.
And the lady that transferred in from up north, she's in at a 1. Jordy is like a 1.5, but she had that one bad game, and it brought it up. Their pitch, and then they got this little freshman that comes in every now and then, and it just smokes.
And I'm bad with names, especially the new ones who come in, but she has a freshman who is has a great bat, and I think we've seen her finally get acclimated, and she's really starting to come alive. I'm going to have to look up her name. And I love it when people text in and tell me names, 580-225-9698. Pitching coach, is it Rocha or Rocha?
Rocha.
Over there at OU. Yeah, I agree right there, Sam. Absolutely the real deal. And the proof is in the pudding. That pudding is championship pudding. So that is tonight. Definitely keeping it. There's a lot of good stuff. Now back to we'll stay with women's. This has kind of been a women's sports theme today.
Yeah, the guys always get their deals.
Well, tonight the women's Final Four tips off. First game, number 1 seeded Virginia Tech taking on LSU. I'm leaning hard on Virginia Tech to win that one. I just don't like Kim. Was it Melky or LSU's coach? Was that Baylor?
Yeah.
Not a fan of hers.
No,
just
I'm not
a fan of her. I
think LSU,
good coach, bad attitude.
Yeah, but that's a good team. She got a good team.
It's a good team. Yeah, they don't have to travel very far. It's played in Dallas, and then the nightcap tonight. This one I think has the potential to bring in heavy viewership. You got number 1 undefeated South Carolina, 36-0. Taking on number 2 seed Iowa. They're 30-6. But the real headline is Caitlin Clark of Iowa taking on Aaliyah Boston of South Carolina. Something's got to give. Of course, Caitlin Clark had that monster game in the Elite Eight. Drew in monster numbers viewership-wise. I don't have the numbers written down, but it brought in more. There was not one game in the entire season of the NBA that brought in that many viewers that game did last weekend. I think I got that stat right, which is awesome. And you credit star power to that, right? When you see Caitlin Clark doing stuff like that, and that was just one player, it's just her doing that. Now you got Caitlin Clark in Boston going up against each other for a right to go to the championship game. I think tonight could bring in even more or even bigger numbers. What do you think?
It's going to be good because both those teams have outplayed their opponents this whole thing. I mean, of course, UCLA gave South Carolina a pretty good run, but they end up pulling it out. But, man, just big numbers. Caitlin, man, she's something.
Absolutely. It's going to have another game like she had last weekend to take down South Carolina. I mean, it could be done. You never know. But I think the bigger story for me is how many people are going to tune in. I know one guy's going to tune in. My buddy Jeremy, he'll tune in, and
that JG.
Oh yeah, and I think I might, but I might be doing some channel flipping. Now, what time's OU softball? 6?
6.
Well, I think that it could be almost over. They get it in quick in 2 hours.
Oh, if it's a run rule, it'll be way
Yeah,
over.
it's true. That's true.
If it's a run rule, it'll be fine.
So again, tonight, 6 o'clock, the first one, LSU and Virginia Tech, Iowa and South Carolina. That one's immediately following around 8 o'clock on ESPN down there in Dallas. Also tonight, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, do I have time to talk about some shooting sports?
Yes, let's do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's do that before we have to take another break. What do you got?
Well, the last 2 days at Sayre America, up there on the north side of town, the Farm Credit AIM at the Excellence High School Trap Shoot was happening. 236 kids participated in this for the last 2 days, and 12,000 targets was thrown.
Wow.
That's a lot. And they, the top 10 individuals, guess what? Mason Tucker.
There we go.
Yeah, he's doing good. He was top individual. And then we had Bert Kenyon and Brigham Barnett. I'm sorry, Kenyon Burt, not Bert Kenyon. Sorry, I'm reading this backwards. Brigham Barnett here at Merritt. She was in there, and Amber Craig, Hayden Hillary, Caden Waltrip, Zach Johnson, Addison Darlin, Nate Hickey, Bailey Pence, Lane Gredeman, Landon Lawberger, and there's 2 more that end up being top 10. No, that was it. Landon Lawberger, that was their top 10. And then on the seniors, is school-wise, Merritt, El Reno, Sayre, Woodward, Canute, Elk City, Moreland, Navajo, Altus, Elgin, Granville, Arapahoe Butler, Hydro Eakley, Chickasha, and Texoma on the seniors. And one more. Let's see what I got here. This is on the junior. On the team-wise, Moreland, El Reno, Arapahoe Butler, Elk City, Wheeler, Texas was here, Elgin, Pryor Homeschool, Verdon, and Merritt. They had quite a shoot going on over there.
That was when?
That was yesterday and the day before. So it'll be Wednesday and Thursday. And
Awesome.
Farm Credit paid all these kids entry fees and paid for all their stuff.
Like their stuff, like
shotgun shells and
shells.
clays.
I was going to say that. I mean, ammo ain't cheap.
No, believe me, our Quail Forever chapter supports these shooting teams. It's not a cheap habit.
No.
But look at it this way. You know, everybody talks about basketball, softball, football, blah, 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 and scholarships. There's a total of 8 kids now from Beckham County that have been given full ride scholarships on their shooting sports. It's a big thing.
Absolutely it is.
So anyway, congratulations to all these kids and all these schools that came in from that.
Yeah.
236 people don't sound like a lot. That's 236 shotguns.
That's a lot.
You got to look at it that way.
That's cool. That's awesome. And back to your point about college, I've always been a big fan of if it can get a kid to college, I'm for it. You know, if it's a route to get a kid to college, whether it be that, I know people are kind of like on the fence with esports, you know, video games. They're giving scholarships out for that. And I'm like, man, if a kid can't shoot a hoop or throw a football or a baseball or softball, but if it's a way to get them to college, that gets them in the classroom, that gets them a degree, I'm good with it. That's another good route. Shooting, that's a good route.
Not all sports is physical and being athletic, and sometimes just being smart will get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. I have I have a niece who's very smart and very talented, and I'm glad you said that. It reminded me today, my niece, who, by the way, is going to be attending the University of Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah?
She's very big in theater. She's the most talented kid.
Your
There's
niece got a name?
Miss Jocelyn Koss. Her birthday is today. She turns 18. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
To my oldest niece, Miss Jocelyn Koss. She's a senior over there at Merritt. I hope she's having a wonderful, happy birthday on a Friday. What better way to have a birthday than on a Friday, right?
Oh, livestock judging will get you to school, too.
On the text line?
Yes, it just popped up. That's the first one popped up on me.
Livestock judging.
Yeah, that's for my show. That's for my show.
Yep.
Don't be cheating on the sports show.
He's giving you an idea, a topic for your show. Let's take a break. Coming up, we will look at the men's Final Four. That actually starts tomorrow. Get some thoughts. Give you our picks of those two games. And you know what else started yesterday? The Major League Baseball season. It was a good day for my Rangers. We'll look at some other scores and get some quick thoughts on that.
Did I hear you guys talking about the Royals yesterday?
A little bit.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Now we're back!
Oh, gear. It's go to waste.
Do you want to say on air what you did?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind. She's not listening.
Do you know that for a fact? Does she know you're covering today?
No, I did not tell her. Some things you just don't tell your
I
wife.
understand. Oh, of course. I've learned that my wife does listen more often than not, and so I've.
She listens to my show.
Oh, I bet
She's
biggest.
Yeah. She's my biggest critic.
Yeah,
she's a school teacher.
Well, you want your wife to be your biggest critic.
Yeah.
We're welcome back to the Skinny on Sports, a Garrison Financial Friday. Thanks again to Scott Garrison sponsoring each and every Friday. He must think I stink or something. He doesn't come in when Aaron's not here. He just doesn't show up.
Yeah, what's up with that, Scott?
Yeah, Scott. He gives us great stuff too, like financial from like sports info, but like from the financial side of things. It's
right.
Interesting facts and all this stuff. But he is a very smart guy. He can help you with your finances. 124 North Main Street, downtown Elk City. Scott@soonerwealth.com is his email. Give him a shout and let him help you. He can help you out.
Well, on Sports Afield with Jimmy Clark.
Yeah.
We got last fall I lost my my hunting partner.
Right, yeah.
All of a sudden, and
a dog.
Yeah.
So for clarity, people.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you do, Jimmy?
Stuff happens around my neighborhood. The sand is deep around there. Well, anyway, I've had a big hole in my life since last November. And yesterday a gentleman called me from Idaho, and he's got this camera on his pups that are only 3 days old, 24 hours. I got an app where I can watch the dogs grow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, so my wife's out of town, and I probably made a decision on my own that I should have waited on, but guess what? Maybe in about 7 weeks we're going to have we might be I might come on Skinny on Sports with you guys and have your listening crowd name my pup for me.
That's fun, but I got a better idea. That seems like more of a thing for your show. But what we should do is, now you're raising this pup to be a bird dog?
Yes,
yeah?
My hunting partner.
We need to have like about every quarter you come in, or every beginning of hunting season, and you give us like a a sportsman report. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just coming up with this idea. I'm thinking it out loud.
Right.
You come in, we get a report about deer season, about quail season, about dove season, about you hunt turkey.
Yeah, turkey
season's coming up, right?
Speaking of turkeys, guess what?
What's up?
I haven't seen a turkey on my place on the river in probably 5 years. They'll hang out on the other side where the high fences are, where they water crops.
Yeah.
And there was one came last Saturday, come walking through my oat field. It's got a paintbrush on the front.
Oh boy! Have you tried calling him in?
No, I have to. He walked right by the pickup.
All right.
So
Very good.
I'm gonna leave him alone.
Yeah. When does turkey season start?
Pretty quick.
Spring season about to hit. Well, what's about to start is on Saturday. The Final Four is a really unconventional Final Four. Starts on Saturday down there in Houston. Number 9, Florida Atlantic taking on number 5, San Diego State. Did you ever think you'd say that in your lifetime?
No.
And for a Final Four game, Florida Atlantic is taking on San Diego State. And then the second semifinal, 5th-seeded Miami taking on 4th-seeded UConn. UConn looks like they're probably the favorite in this whole thing, but the way this tournament's gone, I say that grudgingly because stranger things have happened this very year. So, Jimmy, just to jump in, I mean, what are your first thoughts on that first game? Florida Atlantic coming in at 35-3. That probably should have been our first clue was, I know they're Florida Atlantic, and a big good chunk of that 35 is their conference and, weaker opponents, but 35-3, that's hard to do. I don't care what conference you're playing in to win 35 games and lose only 3, or I guess the better statement is lose only 3 before the tournament. And then there's San Diego State, 31-6. San Diego State's always been a nice basketball school. They've produced a lot of pro talent, Kawhi Leonard namely. But this one almost feels like a toss-up. San Diego State's a 3-point favorite. Let's just, while we only have about 6 more minutes left to go on the show, we'll just wrap up with Final Four talk. What do you think about this one? And if you want, just tell me who you think's going to win.
I'm going with FAU.
Are you really?
I am. And they've been the fan favorite since the start, because
everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah, everybody loves
But
the
here's
underdog.
the thing. Both these teams feel like the underdog. Does that make sense? They both feel like whoever's going to – you're playing for second place because we'll get to that second game. But just based on the seeding, that it feels like whatever happens in this first matchup, the winner of the second matchup is probably going to be your national title winners. But you like FAU.
I do.
For just a reason of
I like the bigger underdog. How's that?
Yeah.
Because the Miami and UConn and San Diego State, they're all seeded about the same. If you look at it that way.
Uh-huh.
And then you got number 9 FAU. That's just been the kind of a Cinderella story in a roundabout way, and I'm going with them. I'm not a big West Coast guy anyway. So.
I like San Diego State's size, I think, but Florida Atlantic can shoot it. Their guards are really good.
Yep.
It got them out of a couple pickles in this tournament. Their shooting did to get them out of some holes and pull away. I think San Diego State's size is the difference, and I'll give San Diego State the win. But I think it'll be a good game. I don't think it'll be blowout by any means. But I also thought that about Gonzaga against UConn, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Other games, speaking of UConn, they're taking on Miami. Like I said, UConn, Aaron really loves UConn. After the first game or two in this tournament, thought, man, these guys are athletic. They might be the team to beat. And it still looks that way. They were a 6-point favorite against Miami. Miami with the upset win over Texas in the Elite Eight. What do you think, Jimmy?
I'm going with UConn because really Texas should be there. I mean, in all honesty, Texas was ahead by 10 or 12, and they just let Miami get back in the game.
They collapsed in that last really 90 seconds.
So I'll go with UConn.
Yeah, I said this. I don't want to dive too much into Texas. They're not here anymore. But I said this about – I always had this in the back of my head where – and Aaron does this a lot too for good reason. If you ever at one point in the season lost to or even struggled with Oklahoma, who was not a good team in the Big 12. No. They were not a good team. They had sparks, but nothing to catch fire. Alabama was one, and that's why Aaron had huge reservations about Alabama, because the way they lost to Norman in the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
That was a complete blowout.
It was a blowout, and he was just not willing to pick Alabama for good reason, and that was a good reason. I was kind of the same way about Texas. Even though Texas beat OU twice in the regular season, OU held with them. That first time in Norman, it was down to the last minute.
You're
and
right.
Texas just got the rebound or two and a shot or two, and it was over. OU just ran out of time. But both times, even down in Austin, Texas struggled with OU. So I had my reservations about Texas for that same reason. And there it was. The same thing that kind of happened in some games against Texas, or with Texas, where they were able to come up on the high side. It didn't happen against Miami.
Nope.
So you're right. Miami's sneaking in here. I think UConn, though, they're rolling. And I think they're the national title favorites.
Yep.
Won't talk about a potential national title game until Monday. But I will go with UConn, and I'll actually go with UConn big. They're a 6-point favorite. I think they pull away and they win easily in this one.
Now, if Miami plays like they did the last 5 minutes against Texas,
yeah,
they got as good a chance as anybody.
Yes.
Because they did. They played really good ball. Texas collapsed, but Miami played smart.
Yeah, from the text line, I couldn't agree with this more. I like UConn, but anyone who beats Texas, I like more. I totally agree with that. In anything.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because that's man. It's a great day. Well, next 2 days, great for sports.
Tonight, Oklahoma City Thunder. Another big. It's like 5 more games, and all of them are going to be big. I mean, you want to try to win them all, but it's going to be asking a lot when you're taking on teams like Phoenix and Golden State and even Memphis at the end of the season, which is a week from Sunday. But tonight they are at Indiana, and that's a 6:00 game. So that we'll have that right here on the Sports Animal. Again, 5 games left. Me and Aaron kind of thought they need to win 3. Maybe 2 if things can happen in their way, in their favor, away from them, like the Mavs. If the Mavs, which they're going to have a tough road to hoe as well moving forward. Of course, Oklahoma City in the 10 spot, the Mavs a game behind them in the 11 spot. But there's always that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving pairing. It hasn't worked in the immediate, but sometimes I think one time or one day it'll click, but they're running out of days for it to click, but it could happen. Never know. They're at Miami tomorrow, at Atlanta. This is Mavs I'm talking about. Sacramento, who's already clinched a playoff spot. Will they shut it down? That's not until Wednesday. So those are really the 2. Obviously, the Thunder I'm watching, and I'm really watching the Mavs. Let's see what happens there. If the Thunder can take care of business and root for all these teams that play the Mavs, I think the Thunder might
get in,
and it could happen. I mean, we could clinch that spot, see that spot clinched before the end of next week, but the regular season wraps up a week from Sunday, April 9th, and it could come down to that game for the Thunder. They host Memphis. Afternoon game, the crowd should be rocking. If it's like, okay, Thunder, this is it. You got to win this game to get into the postseason. The Thunder Alley, whatever we're calling it, it's going to be crazy. Paycom will be nuts. Should be a lot of fun. So kind of going it game by game, 1 game at a time with 5 games left. We'll see what happens. But tonight it starts at 6:00, Thunder at Indiana. Hey, we did it. We got through the hour. We're done.
We're done.
Thank you so much for you hanging out with me.
Sorry,
Jimmy
I don't
Clark,
know.
appreciate
Sorry,
you.
I don't know all the stats you and Aaron know, but guess what?
No, you did great.
6:00 tonight. Boomer Sooner.
That's one good stat to know. Thanks again to Scott Garrison helping us out with today's show. It's going to do it for me. It's been Skinny on Sports on the Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.